Hello everyone, welcome to Cornflower Crafts. I'm Corn and we're back in the craft room, and I wanted to show you, this is a project share, and then I thought we could kind of go through the steps of doing some in felt. But you know, carrots this year are just so popular. There are many channels that are doing tutorials on how to make fabric carrots, and a lot of them, in fact most of them, are farmhouse. But you know me, my decor, a lot of it is shabby chic. So I thought, okay, I watched a couple and I learned quite a bit, and then I did my own thing. And so here are, I like the number 3. I like the way a group of 3 looks, and so I made a smaller one, a medium size, and a larger one. Excuse me. And then they have, for the tops of my carrots, they either have a very thin satin ribbon or a medium satin ribbon, or this really fun, for the large one, I wanted to do this organza ribbon with glitter on it. And then as you see around the tops, it does have the eyelash trim. And so I place them like this because I put the ribbons where I put them, so that when I put this one on top, as you can see, boom, 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 boom. So I'm just, you know, since it's something I've never done before, I keep going and going. And then I thought, wait a minute, maybe you guys want to come along with me. So I thought, well, I don't need any more because I already have the one that I will use, as you can imagine, in my display. And just, I have quite a few bunnies that this size is perfect for. So I thought, well, if you guys want to come along, I went into the linen closet and grabbed this because I thought it, my little eyelet showed off my carrots better. And then I do have, this bunny is from a thrift store. I do have this bunny. I have several bunnies, but they're in the craft room, but they're rather large, so they wouldn't, it wouldn't look good here. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little bunny here behind me for now, and set these up here for now, so that we can get to work on some other ones. Now the first thing I did was to realize, since it takes me a long time to craft, and I thought, I told Handsome, I said, maybe if I do the next set in stages, that maybe it would go better. And he said, are you going to talk for a minute a stage? And I said, do you know me? You know it's not going to be for a minute. One thing I did, I thought, I never do this when I'm doing something new and I'm just making stuff up as far as measurements and stuff. I thought, wait a minute, hold on here. Go ahead and write your measurements down. So here's my first, this is, will be the middle size carrot out of this felt. And so this size, let's see, I've got stuff sitting over here in stages like I said. The smaller one is, you're cutting out a rectangle that is 4 3/4 by 5 inches. Then this one is 5 1/2 by 6 1/4. And then this one, which has already been sewed and stuffed, is 5 1/2 by 8 inches. Okay, so that's your stages, or my stages that I'm in, and here's your measurements that you'll need. Okay, so what I do, like I said, this is our middle one. And what I do, because I personally, now some of the ones y'all see out there are just these luscious big fat carrots. Mine end up being long and thin because of some of the ones that I have produced in the garden. They're not usually the big fat ones, so, but I haven't personally gardened in quite some time. Handsome has, but I haven't. So, and then fold it over so that you have a fold here, okay? Fold it over so you have a fold. And then for me, like I said, do your own thing if you need it larger or if you need it smaller. This is just what I've been doing. Okay. So next, you can just get your scissors out and cut, you know, from, well, I usually put my, so you can cut from, you know, point A to point B. Just do your diagonal, which I've done in the past and which I do for my gnome hats. But for the carrots, or you can come here. I always cut down into the, I'll cut here to here. So, or you can even mark it. You can even put on here, you know, get out your pencils or your fabric pen and mark it, or your chalk, and mark it and cut it if you're more comfortable doing that. Let's see if this one's going to work today. Sometimes these babies work for me and sometimes they don't. Let's see if it works today. All right, instead of doing this one, I usually, so I can see I like to see through. I love the looks of the one I just took up, but I like to see what I'm doing here. All right, and again, you want to line your edges up real good. Tim Holtz ruler does have a metal edge, and that's why I'm doing that. And I usually don't, when I sew this, I usually don't make that teeny tiny point there. Because when these are so thin, thin, that getting any of your polyfill in there is a challenge. See, it's not going to work for me, I bet you. Whenever I do anything, no. But see, I've got my lines. So here we go. I think I need new blades. So, since I already have my line here, all right. And I definitely save these. You could sew here and here and make a super skinny one if you wanted, but I usually save these for other things, especially die cuts. They're great for that. Okay, so then what I do is, oops, I didn't cut that real well. There we go. Your right sides together. And you can either clip it like so or pin it. You can take it to your machine, or as you already know, you can go ahead and, sorry, I hope I'm in frame, or glue it with your glue gun. I personally don't, but there's this step, okay? We measured it, we got our rectangle, we cut it, and now let's go on to this one. So, like I said, you've got all those other options, but for me, I like to hand sew now. You know what I mean? That might change in the future, but for now, that's what I still prefer. But like I said, it could change. And this stitch, I don't know what this stitch, the name of it is. It just reminds me of trying to look like the sewing machine. See how that looks? And it's a matter of going in the last hole you came out of, going over a little bit. Let's see. When the camera's rolling, I will probably make a mistake. And then, since you have your, this is felt, and it's a nice felt. All felt isn't created equal, as you all know. This one's a nice thick one. I go ahead and pull quite a bit on this. So it's just a matter of oops, come off of there. And then pull so that it, I don't normally pull that tight, but I do when it's thick felt, okay? So just a matter of keep going, keep going. It's not a bad, it's kind of a fun stitch too, to be honest. Okay, and just keep going all the way down on that until, let's see, as you see, till that, you go all the way down. I go ahead and I trim with my scissors because I usually hit right about here. And I go ahead and trim this off at an angle so that it won't be super hard to, stuff right in that point there. And so this has been sewed, this has been turned inside out, and this has been filled with the polyfill. I have a tendency to overfill a little bit because when it comes to then doing what I need to do here, I push it down. I also make a little hole in the middle because I'm putting my top, in. And yeah. So speaking of tops, let me do this. Let me show you guys. You saw on, I don't know if this is still in frame, on the ones I just showed you, looping ribbons for tops. You can use greenery with your silks. You can use most anything because you all are so creative out there. And one of the things I saw when I was watching, like I said, several channels, I do not remember her name, but I will look and see, and if I can find her again, I will give her credit where credit is due. She took her felt, now she has a pattern. I don't have a pattern for this. I just do it. And I pinned this so that I could show y'all. It's a matter of, let's see what this size is. This size felt is 3.5 by, let's see here, 3.5 by 3.5. Okay. And you just take your scissors, and she had a pattern so that it was marked, it was marked. I'm not that precise on this because we're trying to mimic nature in a way, and as you all know, nature is not always precise, and that's what's so cool about it. So I just took these and just kept going, and of course it'll give you a flat top here, and I just went ahead and cut them, because I thought that was prettier. And then it's a matter of very tightly, well, at least I did, because it's got to go in the top of your carrot. So very tightly, I rolled this. Okay. If it's not as tight as you want, just pull it and keep going again. And then I will eventually go ahead and tack it with my needle and thread, and then I will wrap it, to make it nice and tight like this. And then I will go over where I wrapped it and tack that down too, so that it's a nice, that's kind of a cute top, isn't it, y'all? Made out of felt. So I wanted to show you guys that. And I do things like this if I want to keep it that way. I just stick a pin in it. And so once you get, well, let's see, I showed you that top. I'll also show you these guys. Let's do one of these before we go on. Well, or maybe I should do this first. No, I guess not, because this is going to go here. Yeah, this one goes on this one. I cut out 4 pieces of ribbon. This is that Dollar Tree put out the gingham ribbon. So that's from Dollar Tree. And I cut 4 pieces that are 6 inches long. And then it's a matter of, let me see, where's my, I've tried to put my needles, get them all ready so it wouldn't take me forever to be here. So you put your ends together like so, and then it's a matter of trying to create that little, let's see, does that make any sense? That little, I don't know what you'd call that, because we're trying to make our leaves more narrow. But I go ahead and tack that, okay. And this is just white thread that I'm tacking it with. And much like I said I was going to do about the felt leaves, you can do the same thing here. And that's, once you've tacked it where you're happy, then just go and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then tack that. Oops. You can get it to stay. Okay. And then I go under and over that, those threads that I just did around, tack that a couple of times. And then knot it. You can also tack it in the back if you can get under there. But mine's not letting me do that too well because I've got it so tight. Oh, there we go. And I usually, when I'm doing stuff like that, I usually double knot that. Okay. So we have these guys all done the same. And this isn't my favorite ribbon. I love gingham, but the feel of it and the way it kind of does its own thing. But you can manipulate it. See, you can kind of get it nice and nice and straight. So, and then that would be, and again, what you just saw me do with that, I would take this, knot it, tack them together, wrap them together, and so they would fit just straight down in there. I can show you how I do go around. I mean, this is probably the most simple part of it all. But what I do is right where the seam is. Oh, and let me show you this first. I can't see it that well because of my polyfill, but if you put it down like this, you can see I have this little peak here, and you see that's a lot of times you'll see that on my gnomes, in the back of my gnomes as well. That's there because when I cut it, you saw I just cut it and left a straight edge at the bottom. If you have like a little semicircle, you won't get that. You'll avoid that. But that's how I personally do it. Okay. So I've done the semicircle before too, but this is what I usually do. So I go ahead and, I've got to get close to it, guys. Okay. I go ahead on this side of my seam and just run, have a running stitch so that we can gather this. Okay. And I usually have to hold my polyfill down because my needle's like, yeah, let's catch some of that in here. Okay. How's everybody doing? Happy and healthy, I hope. I hope. And then what happens is then I do one last stitch on this side of the seam. Okay, and then that gets gathered, and you can gather it like this, but normally, let's see, I don't have one oh yes I do. Now this is one that's going to go on the little one. I decided to do a lace top for that one. And it would be a matter of, there's not much to dig in down there, but it would be, you know, where this goes around it like so. And then I'm going to knot it, and just knot it once to keep those gathers in place, well, probably twice. And then go around the whole thing and catching the lace the same time I'm catching the end here. Just do a little stitch here, the lace, here the lace, here the lace, so that it stays where it's supposed to. Like I said, that's the top that's finished on the little one. Okay, so you have this. All right, so let's say, for the sake of time, you have this one finished. This is our top, is in there, which it will be in there. And then the thing is, when it came to decorating these guys, see, I actually, and it didn't meet up perfect, even though I pinned it perfect, but excuse me, it's the nature of this. See, even on these guys, this one's close, but with the lace. I ended up sewing that into that seam. Excuse me, y'all. Excuse me. Whoa, my mercy sakes. I have got to go gigging. So, as you see, when you do it this way, you have to you're taking your needle and thread through all of this, through your ribbon. Excuse me, I don't know what is happening, y'all. And as soon as I push the stop button on this thing, I'll be fine. Interesting. But anywho, so I was going through lace, two layers of the fabric, because that's your seam, and then 2 layers of the lace, 2 layers of the ribbon, you know what I mean. So there were times I wasn't wearing a thimble because I have a hard time using them. So, but there were times I was pushing my needle down on my mat because it was like, I don't want to go through that. So what I thought I'd do on these guys is go ahead and, whoa, there's a little bugaboo who's decided to visit us. Those are one of those little critters who came in when it was freezing, and it's still kind of cold out, but it's getting a little bit warm for the spring. And they have decided to come and visit me every once in a while. We've got a jar. We put them in the jar, put the top on, and we put them back outside. But anyway, evidently he found his way back in, and he just wanted to be seen on this video, little rascal. So when it comes to decorating and stuff, what I thought I would do this time was, like, let's say, do I have any laces out at all? Well, let's just pull this one. I'm not going to be using it. I would go ahead and start at the seam here, and then go around, cut it, and use my excuse me, use my Fabri-Tac to put it down. And then maybe like this. Let's go down a little further for decorating. And as you all know, decorating's the most fun of all. And maybe put this here, and then maybe put this here, maybe, or put, I tell you, I don't know what happened. Put this here, or this. There's just, excuse me, mercy sakes. Y'all, I really do apologize. I'm driving myself cuckoo. This is what I did. I got a bunch of these little satin ribbon roses from a thrift store years ago. And they were all, every one of them were on this thin of ribbon, yards of it. Seriously, yards of it. So I'm not sure what they were normally used for. But, and their leaves are exactly like this. You take the ribbon, you put here and here, and then you tack it here, like I did. But they're all in like olive green, and that's not what I have going on here. So I took it off, and then made this one and put that on. And I used to always say it drove me crazy that whoever was making them almost always had one leaf bigger than the other, or loop. And look, I did the same thing. It's difficult because they're so tiny. That is so tiny. You know what I mean, to sew. It's very little, and you're trying to tack them together and then tack it onto the rose. So I'm never going to say another word about it. That little rascal is aggressive. He just flew up on me, y'all. Behave yourself, mister. You're going outside in a few minutes. Well, I'm glad you like me, but I don't want you in my house. So, here we go. So, here is what's probably going to happen. And then here. That's what I think about doing. And maybe some more lace or ribbon or what have you. You know, I'm always grabbing a bunch of stuff here so that I can see what, you know, I have a stack of, you can't see them, they're out of frame, a stack of ribbons over there. Let's move these babies. But I did think, ooh, but this is too wide. But look at that color-wise. Isn't that perfect? And this felt is from Hobby Lobby. Isn't that gorgeous with that? But I think it's too wide. And I also pulled this one because I was like, oh my lands, look at this with this one, you know. Wouldn't that be pretty? That's a maybe. This is Hobby Lobby too. I got this on clearance a few years back. And I'm pretty sure this is the one. You know how they have ones that say that they have a little wording right here. It says something like the ends are frayable or something. I'm not sure, but I pulled that thinking maybe we could have, that would be pretty. But anywho, I thought you'd like to see what I was up to, and maybe if you would like to do some carrots and put in front of your bunny figurines like I'm going to do. One other set I'm thinking about doing. I was thinking about doing ones that almost look vintage. Not farmhouse vintage, but maybe vintage and a little bit of bling on them and stuff, you know. I'm thinking about doing that. And then after I do that set, I think I quit, because even though I have more than my share of bunny figurines in the house, I think that would be enough. But I love the idea of making fabric carrots. I did have to iron all of my cotton and stuff. And like I said, I do fill them very, very firmly, as you can see here. That is a very firm, and in these guys too. But let me tell you something that I think the same creator did on her channel. After she made hers are, of course, the traditional orange. She took her whole carrot and pushed it up like this and let it go, pushed it up again and let it go. And it actually made, you know how carrots have the little, you know, ridges and all this good stuff, and it looked like, it almost looked like a real carrot. It was so cool. Now my Shabby Chic will never look like real carrots, but they do fit in with what I do, how I decorate around here. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. Bye-bye, everybody. Take good care.